Hello and welcome. Glad to see you here today. So let's get started. So today we're talking about mail in macOS Ventura. This is Go for Lunch for May the 9th, 2023. Brought to you by GoFor Technology. And I am Roger Harmon, your host. If you're new here, please type new in the comments so we can welcome you to our community. And as always, we're here to make your technology work for you. This is National Teachers Day, so salute all the teachers that help our young people. So to kind of put things in perspective here, here is a chart showing the age groups and how they use email. So starting here on the left, we have Gen Z, which is ages 9 through 24, and going all the way across here to what they call the silent generation. I always have thought that this generation was called the builders, so I'm sticking with builders. So as you can see, they're all 90% or above, so email is something that is a part of everybody's life, no matter their age. So one of the nice features of Ventura Mail is scheduled send. So in order for that to work, your Mac has to be on, but it can be asleep, so that's not a problem. And so what you get when you click on the down arrow, and that is up next to the little icon, the little paper airplane icon, there's a little down arrow, then you will get this box here along with a couple other choices, and then you can change the date either by changing it right here, or you can change the date down here in the little calendar. Then you can change the time right here, and that will change on the analog clock. And then when you got everything set the way you want it, you click schedule, and that email will be sent at the time and date that you indicated. So let's just see how that works. So let's go into mail. And mail has disappeared from my dock. It did this once before I started. So mail is misbehaving. So let's get mail in here. There we go. Okay, so how do we schedule mail? So we're going to create a new mail message, and we'll just send this to ourselves, and we'll call this send later. And we've got some content here. So now we're going to go up here to the little arrow right next to the send button, the little paper airplane. And you can see we have send now, send at 9 o'clock tonight, send at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you could choose one of those defaults, or you click here on send later, and we could change this here, or we could just click here in the calendar to change it to tomorrow. And we could change the time to 1400, and you notice the clock changed, and then we would click on schedule, and that mail will go out tomorrow at the time indicated. So that's the way you can schedule your mail. You might want to do that if you know when someone reads their mail, or you might want to do it if you think of something you want to send to somebody but you might forget, so then you can schedule it so you have that taken care of. So now we talked about how to send mail. How about undoing a send? So you can have 10 to 30 seconds to stop an email that you just sent. So if you have any regrets about that email, maybe you put the wrong person's name in there, or you said something that you decided maybe was not the greatest idea, then you can unsend the mail. And the way you do that is within that 10 to 30 second time limit. At the bottom left hand corner, you will see undo send. So you click on that, and then it is unsent. It doesn't go out. So it doesn't bring it back. It just doesn't send it for 30 seconds, giving you a chance to undo the send. And you choose that time limit in mail settings under Compose. So let's look at that. And so we go to mail settings. So we go to mail in the upper left hand corner, go down to settings. We go to composing, and then here in the center you see it says sending, undo, send, delay. You have a little pop-up, so it can be off 10, 20, or 30 seconds. So I think probably most people would want to keep it to 30 seconds to give you the most opportunities to unsend that mail. So Remind Me, another helpful feature. So if you want to follow up on an email, you can set a reminder, and you would set the date and time to be reminded, and then that message would come back into your inbox. So to do that, there's two ways to do it. One, you can go to the message heading in the menu bar, and the other way is to right click on that message. So let's check that out. So let's say I wanted to be reminded about this message here for, well, let's just do this YouTube message. So I can go up here to message, come down to remind me, and very similar to the way it works in send later, it can be 1 hour, tonight, tomorrow, or then I get the calendar and I can set the time and then schedule that, and then at that time it'll pop back into my inbox. The other way to do it would be to right click on the actual message, and then you can see here it has remind me, and we have the same options. And of course we can also remove the reminder. So once we have set up that, we will have a heading here in the left hand panel called Remind Me. So then we can check on that. If we want to edit it, we go up here to the upper right hand corner, and again we get our calendar and our clock, and we can change it, or we could remove the reminder altogether. So that's the way that Remind Me works. So again, another handy little feature in Ventura Mail. So another thing we can do is have a little better searching in Ventura Mail. So they've added what they call smart search suggestions. And one of the features is you can search on attachments. And you can also put in natural language searches. So for example, you could say from the person that sent you the email, from that person, and put in a yesterday. You can also say to something that you sent to somebody, and then you could add to that to, you could add, what the subject was about. You can also search for flagged emails, and you can search for PDF attachments. So let's check that out. So the search is up here in the upper right hand corner. You click on that, and another feature is it will remember the last 3 searches that you did, and you can see here it will also show you the last several documents that you found in a search. So if we search here, let's say from Susan. So here's several Susans. We'll choose this one, and there you see all of the messages there from Susan. So again, Smart Search is a nice feature in Ventura Mail. Another good feature is the rich URL link. So that gives your messages some more context and details. Instead of just having a simple URL in your mail, it will give you a representation of the web page. And that looks like this. We're going to create a new email here and send it to ourselves. We'll call this URL link. Okay, and then I'll click down here. And I'm going to use an app called Paste to bring up a URL link. You can't see this on your screen, but I double click on a URL link and there's a little gear going around, and then there's a nice representation of the web page. Now notice here there's a little arrow in the upper right hand corner. When I click on that, I can convert that back to a plain link. So you might want to use plain links if you're sending say a few different links. Obviously the rich URL link is going to take up a lot more room, and you can then switch back here to the show the link preview. Also, you could open the link here if you wanted to double check it. So now the little gear is going around and we're back to the nice rich URL representation. So that's a nice feature. So we're going to close this out and not save it. Okay, so those are the main features. There was another feature that I read about in my research, but when I tried it out, it didn't work. And that feature is if you mention an attachment in your email, then the email is supposed to remind you when you go to send it that you didn't include the attachment. Also, if you mention a recipient that you didn't put in the to field, it's supposed to remind you to add that recipient. Neither of those worked. I did some research on it and I can't find any information about why they're not working. A lot of people have added that as a feature to their articles about Ventura Mail, but it's not working. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click on that little bell so you'll be reminded of when we go live. So if you haven't already, please type any questions in and we'll get to those in just a second. And if you would do me a big favor and forward the GoFor Gazette, which comes to you every Monday morning about 7 o'clock, to anybody you know that uses Apple devices, so we can broaden our reach and help more people. Well, Zoom did another update on May 5th, so if you haven't updated Zoom to version 5.14.7, do that please before your next Zoom meeting. Another update was for iOS and iPad OS to 16.4.1a and to Ventura 13.3.1a. So this A is something new. This is called a rapid response update. So this is when Apple finds out about a security vulnerability that they think needs to be patched right away. Then they release a rapid response. This is the first time it's happened outside of beta releases. So make sure that you have that A on your current version of your operating system. Okay, so let's go back here and see what we have as far as questions. So Leslie Ann says, I have 15.0 mail. Is that Ventura? So the way we would do that is we would go to Mail, and then we would go up to Mail in the upper left hand corner and click on About Mail and No. So you should have 16.0 is the version of Mail with Ventura. So are you running Ventura, Leslie Ann? So while we're waiting for Leslie Ann, how does a rich URL link work within text? Well, Susan, it would just insert it wherever your cursor is. So wherever you put the cursor, when you add the URL, which you would paste in, it would put it right there. And Bob answers Leslie saying he has 16.0 mail and he's running Monterey. Well, that's interesting. So you have Leslie Ann has Monterey 12.2. So you might check your updates. Okay, you don't have Ventura. So you might want to check your updates because there may be an update besides Ventura. So when you go to your to General and Software Updates, below the one that would say Ventura, there's a blue link that says More. Click on that and see if maybe there's an update hiding in there for Mail. Good questions. So I hope you'll be able to use these new features in Ventura Mail. Most of these features are also on iOS, so you can also utilize them there. Okay, well, thank you, Bob, and thank you, everybody, for attending. If you think of any other questions after we leave, my phone number and email will be coming up on a screen near you right now. So have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you here next week at high noon on Tuesday for Go for Lunch.